Hello, good people of the drawing journey. So in the last video I talked about the straight lines, but we also have obviously bendy lines, like curvy lines. To me personally, the straight lines I find them a lot harder to master, but nevertheless the bendy lines are valuable and important to practice as well. What I try to do here in the beginning with this is just, I can loosen up my hands a little bit by just trying to draw some nice lines with a nice curve going, basically try and just follow the natural curve that my hand sort of gives me when I'm moving across the paper like this, and then go back and forth with that a couple of times. That's useful. You start out just being mindful, sketching really slowly like this. But with this, what you're really aiming for, I think, is the smoothness and the flow of the line, right? So work towards sort of being able to make these nice flowing lines. In a relatively fast and smooth motion. You can obviously change the direction of them, and when you're going over them like this, trying to hit the same line again, then you're having to be a little bit more deliberate, because obviously the first line you do, you just do whatever and it looks nice. But then you're having to hit the same line again, be more deliberate about your direction, which makes it a bit more challenging. So that's a good thing to practice. To expand on the being deliberate part about this, you can add a little bit. So if you do like this, add a couple of dots, and then you try to draw your line through the dots, right? Through hitting both dots. So you can add more dots to make it more challenging. Something like this, right? You can expand on this obviously and make more of a small anthill going here that you have to draw, which would make the motion a lot more complex, in that you're having to switch directions, and this forces you to open up your shoulder and draw from your shoulder and your elbow. And this is again one of these things that I've talked about on numerous occasions, about freeing up your actual drawing hand, which is really useful. The fingers and the wrist are very good for small detailed work, but when you're having to make bigger lines and curves, then you have to sort of open up your hand, open up your arm, and you do that by releasing your shoulder. So this is a good exercise for that. Something like this is actually a lot more challenging than it looks. At least it was for me, is for me. It might be different for you, but try it anyway. You can, again, expand on the complexity. So like this, I'm changing directions a couple of times. Oh, sorry. Which again adds to the range of motion that I'm having to employ going into this here. So yeah, that's a couple of exercises that are really valuable and very useful and very simple to do. Spend a little time on those. You can also just, if you do like a line like this, and then you just try and copy it, right? Do it a bunch of times. As you can see, I was getting further and further away from my original line, and then I'm trying to come back to it, right? Obviously make it more complicated if you want. Yes. And it's always good to go over the lines again, go back in your own tracks. And the last thing that I like to do sometimes just for fun is just do these kind of swivel,s right? Just something like this. And again, you can go back and try and draw over your own line. Try and make them somewhat regular, somewhat symmetrical, so that the top of them are somewhat on a straight line like this. All right, those are some good exercises, really simple to have fun with and just practice your line, and just to loosen up before your actual drawing session. It's a good thing just to get some lines going, just work with the hand a little bit. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Go ahead and practice, and I will see you in the next video.